The following podcast does have an explicit tag, and boy, have we earned the right to use it.
One, two, three into the four. Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre is at the door.
Can't no one out-queef me. A Gen Original.
A Gen Original, ladies and gentlemen.
So it's been a couple of weeks since
Benny.
it's been a couple of weeks since it's been just the two of us. We've been on a worldwide tour with our good friends over at Cellar Skeptics, and we visited with Callie, and now we're back just to the two of us.
Sorry, I had to take a Game of Thrones break, and I was so satisfied.
Yeah,
So fucking satisfied.
I got several snaps of her smoking.
They revealed a fan theory that people have been debating about for it's got to be 10 years now. 10, 15 years now that they've been debating since the second book.
Holy shit.
And it took the show actually revealing it because the book that it was supposed to be revealed in isn't finished yet. And it was the very last scene, and Game of Thrones is known for, after the last scene, it just cuts to a black screen with the credits. So you can see yourself in your television and how fucking horrified you are after watching this.
Ah, The Sopranos ending. Good.
Yes, and this is every episode. Every episode just cuts to a black screen so you can stare at your horrified reflection in the mirror. Your heart. Yeah, it's wonderful.
That's delightful. So
but it did not disappoint. There were some very slow plot lines that I didn't agree with, but the ending did not disappoint.
Good. So for those not familiar with Cellar Skeptics, we were just on one of their more recent episodes. After they were with us, we went on to ruin their show. That was fun.
Yay!
We got to talk about
ruining their show.
We got to talk about Celebgate, gluten-free diets, and a game called, what is it, Rust?
Rust, I think it's called.
It's a great discussion. I want everybody to listen, and I want everybody to send hate mail to Christopher Tana because he cut me off at the end of the second segment, that bastard.
Has he? I didn't get a chance to listen.
Yeah, he did. I was talking about something hilarious that I found out while working in the grocery store, and halfway through, it just cut right out. I was...
fuck you. Cock block.
I know. Well, I made Ashley listen. I made Ashley listen to it because she helped me out with the segment, so I gave her credit, and I was like, I want you to hear this so you know for sure that I said something good about you, and I give you credit. And then it gets to the end of it, and I'm speaking, cue to their music. And I was like, wait, I was saying something there.
That's hilarious. I'm sorry, I find that so fucking hilariously funny.
So we love Hannah, but Tanner's in the shit books right now, apparently.
Uh-oh, Tanner. The wrath of the Canadian is going to find you.
Canadians don't have wrath. I mean, well, he does play hockey, so...
No,
he loves hockey.
He flood people's gas tanks with maple syrup.
Yeah, that's gonna ruin your day.
That's gonna fuck up your day.
So we brought up Celebgate on their show, and we're not gonna go too deep into it as a topic, but we did kind of want... more so me wanted to touch on it, because we have our first hate mail! Yay!
We will not name names in this podcast from the hate mail we received.
No, we will not name names. If I hear them said when I'm doing the post editing, I'll just cut it or bleep it or replace myself saying something different. So why don't we kind of get into this, Jen? Why don't you tell us the origin story of the hate mail?
All right. So we got in a Celebgate, Celebgate. Yeah. Sorry guys, I'm a little foggy today. It's been kind of a long day. There's a meme with one of the leaked semi-nude pictures of Jennifer Lawrence going around. And it said something like, when Peter brings home 3 loaves of bread instead of 2. And I made a mention to this person that these were private pictures of her that were stolen and hacked and then redistributed without her consent, which is violating a woman's sexual consent. And it's not funny, and it's disgusting to keep this being perpetuated. So dude tells me that he doesn't care. He's not the internet police. He found it funny, so he's just gonna, repost it anyway. And we get into this little kind of DM match on Instagram. And I told him, what if that was your mother or your sister or your daughter? And he's like, but it's not, so I don't care. And then I called him a disgusting piece of shit. I saw or something along those lines. And yeah. And then we got our first bout of hate mail.
Yeah, it was hilarious. I get a message from Jen saying, I'm sorry for what's in our mail. I open it up, and there's a very inappropriate picture staring me right in the face.
I'm sorry. My mouth has gotten us in trouble yet again. And my cat is now destroying my living room. Sorry.
I'm amazed my cat's even talking to me right now. So
she's trying to get one of those jingle balls out from the couch.
Oh, and like a typical sadistic human. Yeah, so, long story short, if you happen to have any of these pictures of Jennifer Lawrence and you give a flying fuck about, I don't know, being a decent human being, get rid of them. Just fucking get rid of them. It's not funny.
Yeah, please, because it's not funny. A woman's sexual consent was violated. This is not cool.
It's not. So that's our public service announcement for the day. So, now I think we're going to move on. We got a couple of news items that we're going to go into, and then we've got a little discussion topic at the end, our little something different, which I haven't had a chance to use in a while.
Oh gosh, here you go, your self-important shit, yeah.
I know.
I love you, I love you, I just love you.
I know. So we have two news items. Jen, shall we flip for it, see who goes first, or do you just want to take
we'll do yours first. Ooh. Actually, no, we'll do mine first, because mine was actually signed into today. Mine was signed into law today, yeah.
Oh, shit. All right, well, since it's your news item, why don't you take point and tell us what it's all about?
Jesus Christ. So I have to physically exhale before I start this. The Tennessee governor signed a bill into law today that allows counselors, therapists, and mental health professionals to deny services to patients due to their religious or lifestyle beliefs. Basically saying if the counselor is a Christian and somebody comes to them seeking help and they're gay and they don't agree with that because they're a Christian, they can turn them away as a client or as a patient. Because, fuck the Hippocratic Oath.
Well, yeah, no, it's not about, helping the greater good. It's about, maintaining your
being a judgmental fucking scumbag.
Yeah, I like that one better. That's better.
Yeah, they can now deny services to patients. And this goes for resident therapists in emergency rooms, psych wards, hospitals. Yeah.
Years ago, they were talking about issues like this going on in Alberta. Where if a doctor didn't want to perform a procedure because it violated, his deeply held religious convictions, such as didn't want to help gay people, then he wouldn't. And in a discussion with my father, he was like, well, that doctor's kind of screwed because we've got things like Yelp going on, and people are going to stop going. Right. But the funny part about that argument, though, is that the people who make those arguments are the first to get upset when people protest bakers being bigots. They're the first to say, well, now you're just bullying. Well, no, this is what you said should happen.
Right.
And now that it is happening, you don't like it because you have to face the fact that you're an asshole.
Because you're Christian persecution.
And the only upside I see to something like this is that it really gives us the chance to see, how big of an asshole are people?
Who's a fucking bigot?
Yeah, we get to play who's the bigot. It's no longer, they have to sit there and pretend to give a fuck about someone they don't. Now it actually exposes them for the assholes that they are.
But this was his counteractive measure by not making the Bible the official book of Tennessee. Because
I forgot they were doing that.
He feels that the Bible is a sacred text, and doing this kind of, I guess, degrades its sacredness or something. I don't know.
Sacredness, yes.
Is that the word? I don't fucking know. But yeah, this was his way to counteract that. And now, it's not the official book because, we're protecting people's First Amendment rights, but now you can't access healthcare that may stop you from killing someone because you're gay. Or because you like to masturbate, or you wear mixed fabrics, or you cut your hair, or you have tattoos, or you're a woman asserting authority over a man, or you haven't sold your daughter into slavery, or you haven't stoned your wife to death because she wasn't a virgin when you got married.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but let's face it, in today's day and age, how many virgins are there on their wedding day?
I know a couple. My cousin's one of them.
See if...
And I give her fucking props. She's 22.
Wow.
She hasn't. It's It's something that she holds very dear to her, and I'm like really fucking proud of her that she's, granted we have different beliefs, but she's sticking to her beliefs and she's not caving it. I really fucking respect that about her. I'll give her that.
To an extent, I do. I also just question like the motivation behind it. I mean, I'm all for celibacy if that's what you want for yourself. I just I just don't agree with the religious lifestyle that says your value is solely determined based on the fact that you have your hymen between your legs.
No,
that's my issue with that one.
I think now, and her and I talked about this, and her mother attempted to bring her up so Catholic that I had to explain to her at 16 how marriages were legal even if they weren't performed in a church.
Wow.
Like she really, like that's how much they had fucking programmed her into this shit.
Oh shit.
But as she gets older and she's starting to have her own opinions and her own thoughts away from the family, it's she believes in God and she's a Catholic and she's a very proud Catholic at that. She's not a shove it down your throat type of Catholic. But now it's shifted from I should be a virgin because God told me to I want to remain a virgin until there's somebody really special that's really worth it. And she even said, I don't know if I'm going to last until I get married, but I really do want to wait for somebody that I really do feel is the right person. And I fucking
major props
really
to
hard.
that.
I'm really, really proud of her. Like, I kind of helped raise her.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is kind of like a proud mama moment for me. I'm like, you fucking rock so hardcore. And she said, she's like, I don't know, maybe I'll make it a marriage, maybe not. If I do, cool. But she's like, I'm not just going to go sleep with somebody for the first time because I'm just tired of not sleeping with them. Not having sex. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, how could you be tired of not having sex if you don't know it?
Well, I mean, just because you haven't had sex doesn't mean you don't have the compulsion to have sex. You just don't quite understand the compulsion.
The compulsion. But I fucking, man, I really give her props for just not, like, going out there and saying, fuck it. And
not doing what a lot of other Catholic girls do, and, well, Catholic boys.
Well, lot fucking younger
any Catholic,
than her.
really. Let's be brutally honest.
A lot fucking younger than she was too. Excuse me. But, yeah, I admire her for standing by her convictions, even if it's, it's because my religion tells me to and this is what I believe. That's some admirable shit to really stand by your convictions and not be pressured into it.
Yeah, your sex is your personal choice, and that's the bottom line.
Well, it's a matter of personal choice and availability.
Well, availability is all.
We're not going to get into that because our listeners already know where I'm going with this.
Wait for it. Yes, I think I can hear the hundreds of listeners going, she needs to get laid.
Seriously. But, yeah, now, a person seeking mental health services in a country that is already known for stigmatizing mental health services and them being overly expensive and hard to access, we're now putting more limits on mental health services because I don't agree with how you live according to this book that I probably haven't read.
Yeah, it's a whole bag of assholery at the end of the day.
It really is. And I want to know just how many of these fucking therapists actually read their Bibles.
Probably none.
How many of them, haven't, there's just more on the, okay, this is something I realized one of my many insomniac nights when I couldn't sleep. The Walking Dead is extremely popular in the South. They follow a character named Jesus on the show more closely than they follow the actual Jesus.
There's a subtle little irony in that, isn't there?
I have seen more hype for a character nicknamed Jesus in the zombie apocalypse, and they will, oh yeah, he's a really cool guy, he says a lot of awesome shit, yet they can't tell you what their actual Jesus.
Well, no, I mean, how many people can actually remember what Jesus said?
You know what I mean, like, quoted from a book. I mean, they're both technically quoted from a book, because The Walking Dead is a fucking comic book.
Well, yeah, more people read what's interesting than they read what's actually, something that is such an inconvenience to read. How many Christians, how many Catholics have actually sat and read the fucking Bible cover to cover? Not many.
Me, and that's why I'm an atheist.
Hi-oh!
Oh. But yeah, now it's
drive.
Completely legal for them to limit mental health services even further. And I live in a military town. So we have not only, you know, the average countrywide need for mental health services in this area, but we have, I think it's the third most populated army base in the military. So we have, and these guys are deployed all the time. I mean, it's like one comes out, 2 weeks later, one comes in, one comes out, one comes in. So we are in desperate need of mental health services here.
Yeah.
These are the kind of guys that, you know, have PTSD, snap, and fucking slaughter their families. These are the type, you know, these are the type of guys that are getting fucked over by the military year after year after year. Like on the Air Force incident that happened a couple weeks ago. Walk into their commander's office and fucking kill people. Because they're fucking tired of the, you know, the shake around and the shift around after being sent over.
Well, and the fact that they're not getting taken care of. I mean, they're being sent to put their lives on the line for somebody who just, at the end of the day, does not care about them.
No. And now, we can limit that access even more. But, these are the same people. Now, mind you, I'm pro-gun. I'm very pro-gun. I believe that if you are a law-abiding adult citizen of sound mind...
that's the caveat right there.
That's it right there. And you pass the proper mental health and criminality and legal checks, then you should have the right to own a gun. I'm not saying let's go buy RPGs and have a fucking 4th of July.
Oh, come on!
I know, right? Maybe if you lived like out in one of the rural towns, that would be fine, but, you know, not in cities anyway.
I was gonna go blow me up some cows!
Yeah, they're not the most accurate fucking weapons. Anyway.
Dare to dream, Jen. Dare to dream.
These are the same people that love God guns in their country, but yet want to limit access to mental health facilities when it's very common to literally be driving down the street and see 2 hunting rifles strapped to the back of a pickup truck.
But I kind of want to bring this to the forefront, though, is in those areas, they don't really see mental health services as valuable anyways. These are the types of people that typically adhere to a, well, just tough it out. We all have issues. Or, we all have
the one cousin that we keep locked in the upstairs bedroom and we kind of slide food under the door, or, you know, the special cousin, you know what I mean?
I was that cousin. Fuck you.
Oh, boy. You know, but that's how they see it. But it's like, don't you understand that you live in a high gun area, and expanding access to mental health facilities stops things like mass shootings and soldiers killing their wives and their families or themselves. There are, on average, 22 soldiers a day that kill themselves.
But again, it's so much easier to ignore those facts when you can just, you know, offer up a smoke screen,
pump them full of
keys.
Antidepressant medications that one of the side effects is suicidal thoughts.
Yeah, suicidal ideation. That's the greatest irony about antidepressants. It's how many of them actually push you further.
You come to us because you're depressed and feel like life isn't worth living anymore because of the shit you saw overseas, so we're going to pump you full of medication that could give you a side effect of suicidal thoughts.
See, years ago...
And then we're going to put you in a state that you can literally walk into a gun shop, sign a piece of paper, show your license, and walk out with a gun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a... There's some serious non-thinking going on in there.
But if you are gay...
Oh!
Or if you have been divorced, or if you've had children out of wedlock, and you come and seek help, for this shit that you saw overseas, a fucking therapist in the state, and a lot of guys, because the demand for health services on base is so high that if you live off base within a certain amount of miles, they send you to private hospitals, private doctors. You won't be seen on post. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you get a guy that's either, you know, gay, like I said, gay, divorced, had children out of wedlock, whatever, has tattoos, thinks it's fine to have sex and not be married, whatever. Comes into a therapist office where TRICARE is only accepted by a limited amount of doctors because it's still socialized medicine, and they get paid bottom dollar. The doctors get paid bottom dollar on this shit. And then the therapist tells you that, no, I'm not going to sit here and treat you for post-traumatic stress disorder or traumatic brain injury because I don't agree with how you live.
Yeah. I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around this.
So, while you're driving home and feeling completely hopeless, like nobody will help you, here's 9 fucking gun shops that you can pass.
It's almost like they're trying to nudge you along the line.
Yeah, it's like...
Well, if he's dead, we don't have to take care of him no more, so here's a lot of gun shops. Haha.
Yeah. This is what the state holds dear.
America.
America. Like, you can't get more America than that shit. You can't get fucking crazy violation of the First Amendment, violation of the fucking Hippocratic Oath more than that.
God and guns, what keeps us strong. It's like the Lynyrd Skynyrd song.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I actually like that song because it's so catchy, but I actually listen to the lyrics and I'm going, ugh, god damn it.
That's
Come
like
on.
me and Blurred Lines. It's like me and Blurred Lines. I'm like, I know I don't like this song, but it's so fucking catchy. I'm like I find myself dancing to when I'm singing to it. I'm like, I'm a fucking horrible woman for enjoying this song. I am a fucking
horrible person,
take my
really.
Ovaries, take my boobs because I do not deserve to own them for fuck. But it's so fucking catchy.
Yeah, well, that's how they get you.
I know. I was like, oh, like I can't stop myself. So yeah, this is
We're gonna move on from one religious what the fuck to another.
To another religious what the fuck.
Yeah, pretty much. So this one actually comes to us from the BBC. This is about Pope Frankenfurter. He recently published a document which apparently took 3 years of hardcore Pope work to do. It's called...
that guy is pretty busy. I mean, I give him some credit.
He's
been kind of fucking busy.
Busy trying to, discuss, behind closed doors how evil homosexuals are.
No, he's trying to do everything else to distract the conversation from that.
He's also been well, not so much secretly as people find out about it. He's also been endorsing the repealing of marriage equality in a couple of third world countries where it won't make us big
I wasn't
news.
aware of that.
Yeah.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, so
I did not know that was happening. Thank you for informing me about that.
Oh yeah, it's another reason to suspect the PR Pope. But anyways,
I was not aware of that. Thank you.
You are welcome. It's what I'm here for, is to educate and inform.
Single mom life. It's hard to keep up on everything.
Yeah.
It's fucking hard.
So anyways, so it's a document based on 2 synods on the issue of family life. Mm-hmm. It's called The Joy of Love, and it does not change the Catholic doctrine at all. But apparently it opens the way for bishops in each country to interpret doctrine to suit their own culture. So why they want to fly under the banner
which
of
is kind of along the same lines of what we were just discussing.
Yeah. So it's apparently, Popey there was urging priests to exercise careful discernment over wounded families and to exercise mercy as opposed to judgment, because this is apparently the year of mercy.
Is it?
Yeah. He criticizes the individualism that has led many in the West to value their own personal satisfaction over the needs of their spouse. Because, how dare you actually realize that you are a person and, have wants and needs.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Vaginas aren't allowed that.
The BBC article also says that while saying yes to sex ed, the Pope is arguing that it must be within a framework of education about love. So, yeah.
Why? There's sometimes I don't want to have sex out of love. I just want to have sex to have sex.
Heathen!
Why should that be wrong? I know, right? I know.
So we're gonna cover the 5 of the five issues that the document touches on. So we're going to talk about divorcees remarrying, contraception, women, sex ed, and gay people in no particular order. So let's.
I want to touch on the divorcees getting married again because we kind of have some personal experience with that here. I'm not going to divulge too much into it, but we know somebody who was married in the Catholic Church and is now as long as they can apply for an appeal through the Catholic Church, they can be remarried in a Catholic Church after a divorce.
Oh, good to know.
So not an appeal, an annulment. Not an annulment on the state or federal level. This is just a Catholic Church annulment where they get like a bunch of priests together and they review a shit ton of paperwork and then they decide if it's worthy of an annulment and if it's worthy of whether or not you can get married in the Catholic Church again.
The more you know.
And that's how that is done, ladies and gentlemen.
So what it says on divorcees remarrying. Quote, Language or conduct that might lead them to feel discriminated against should be avoided, and they should be encouraged to participate in the life of the community. The Christian community's care of such persons is not to be considered a weakening of its faith and testimony to the indissolubility of marriage.
I'm not really sure how to take that.
So let's, treat human beings like human beings, because, it's, even though the Bible says a woman, or actually getting remarried is equivalent to adultery.
Right.
That's...
I think it's unless the husband divorces it. There's a whole bunch of fucking weird rules to that shit. I may be confusing it with Islam or Vikings or I don't know. But there's just so many fucking rules in marriage.
Right. Anyways, so in all honesty, I have no idea if this is even actually a statement or if this is just words thrown onto a page. I'm sitting here, I'm going over this, I'm saying I see nothing in here worth actually stating again, because, it's been said once before, but it doesn't bear repeating. So I'm gonna move on. I have actually, it's been a while since I read these, so I haven't prepared a slew of snappy comebacks. So let's go.
Aw, you're slacking, love.
I know. Well, why don't we touch on women?
I swear to God, it's like this whole article is written for me. Let's see how much we can piss off.
Quote: "The verbal, physical, and sexual violence that women endure in some marriages contradicts the very nature of the conjugal union. I think of the reprehensible genital mutilation of women practiced in some cultures, but also their lack of equal access to dignified work and roles of decision-making." End quote. That has
shocking.
That is shocking.
Kind of shocking.
Brilliant.
Wow. Oh.
Yeah, let's face it. In some marriages, there are abuse.
Not expecting that.
I know. I'm sitting here and I'm going, God damn it! Wow, fuck.
I was getting ready to get all pissed off and worked up, and shit. But,
I mean, they are leaving out the genital mutilation practice that is circumcision as well, but at least they're looking at women's issues here. Like that's
because God looked at fucking, I forgot, was it Abraham that did it? I fucked up. Cut it off. Cut that part off. I fucked up.
Oh shit.
I fucked up.
See that little flap of skin on the end of your ding dong there? Yeah, you can cut it off.
It's like, have you ever seen the cartoon about God and the dinosaurs?
Which one?
Oh my God, there's one where it's like, God's just he's a fucking wild man. And he's talking about he wants to put giant fucking lizards on Earth. So they do it, right? And then he gets bored with them. And then it's like, he's like, okay, now I want big fuzzy animals that you could pet to walk around. They're like, but God, they can't exist with the giant lizards. And he just walks away with his arms up in the air and goes, nuke the lizards.
Yes, I know this comic. I loved it. I shared that with Jim, and he and I said that we're giggling our fool heads off.
Nuke the lizards.
Yeah, just
I was like, this was fucking fabulous. This was fucking wonderful. Why am I so in love with this? This is wonderful.
Okay, so here's one critique that I have. So when do women in the Catholic Church get to have roles of decision making? Other than their
I think this is only meant to be kept to the home, not any actual real decisions.
Oh, right. Yeah, this is about the family. My mistake.
Right. This isn't about them actually actively going to change the world now.
And yeah, on the family level, let's totally see, a drastic drop in abuse, because that's fucking nonsense. There's no reason for that.
This is for women that say, I don't feel like making chicken tonight, maybe meatloaf.
Well, you know what the fuck I told you, Jen. God damn it. Meatloaf.
Check my eyes, make sure you don't have to tell me twice. That's fucked up. I shouldn't make jokes like that, man. That's fucked up. My mother listens to this, man. Yes, my mother listens to our podcast, by the way.
Yeah, we know. You told us before.
Yeah, I should not make jokes like that. That's fucked up. Okay, sorry, Mom.
So let's move on to... Oh, this should be good. Sex education.
Okay.
You ready? You sitting down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Quote: "Frequently, sex education deals primarily with protection through the practice of safe sex. Such expressions convey a negative attitude towards the natural procreative finality of sexuality, as if an eventual child were an enemy to be protected against. It is always irresponsible to invite adolescents to toy with their bodies and their desires as if they possess the maturity, values, mutual commitment, and goals proper to marriage. They end up being blithely encouraged to use other persons as a means of fulfilling their needs or limitations. End quote. And we completely reversed all the positive statements we may have made on the women aspect. Yes.
So women can have control over everything except their bodies.
Yeah, so I guess...
Except exploring their own bodies.
So I guess you take each one on their own and you might get something worthwhile, but when you pull them all together, it's nothing new! Okay, so let's break this down, shall we?
Jesus Christ.
Protection through the practice
Even
of
Jesus
safe
Christ
sex.
is like, what the fuck is this? I beat off 2 times a day when I get up in the morning before I go to bed. Why can't other people?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. We all know Jesus pulled his pud. That's why they don't have a fucking story for him for like 14 years out of his fucking life.
Before we go back to ripping this thing to pieces, I'd like to say that motherfucker has holes in his hands. You tell me that he was not trying to find kinky uses for those damn holes.
Let's think about this. The missing part of Jesus' life in the Bible is right around the time when he would have started hitting puberty. Am I right or wrong?
You know, he probably could have done magical things with his dick. I'm not gonna lie.
Now, think about this. What do most boys who have hit puberty want nothing more to do than to be left alone?
Oh, raise Kleenex stock.
Exactly.
Raise the value of Kleenex stock. That's the
so
one.
who's to say that the reason there's not a story is because Jesus really didn't socialize?
Jesus was busy
he just really wasn't doing anything that was really noteworthy to write about.
Why did I suddenly go to full Stigmata with Jesus masturbating?
Because it's... I mean, come on. Like, you wouldn't?
I don't know. Anyways.
That's like if Mary's fingers vibrated.
God, yeah. One woman cheats on her husband and lies to him, and suddenly 2,000 years later, we have religion.
We have religion. Oops.
Okay. So, yeah, protection through the practice of safe sex, because, you know, we have things like gonorrhea, syphilis, AIDS, herpes, oh, and now we have the Zika virus.
Yeah, this is like beyond children.
Yeah.
Now we have Zika.
Oh, but you know, if everybody practiced, you know, abstinence, then we wouldn't have these things, except for the fact that if you take a look at the stats of the southern United States, where they are predominantly abstinence-only sex education program, they have the highest rates of these diseases.
Of STDs and teenage pregnancy. So,
yeah, no, keep on, by all means, keep telling me how this abstinence-only education is the way to go.
I think, actually, they had a study, and I kind of remember half of it. I can't begin to tell you where I found it, but they found that areas that increased sex education and legalized pot saw a drastic drop in teen pregnancy rates.
Okay, well, you tossed pot in there, and let's face it, they're just way too stoned to give a damn about fucking.
Well, that, and I mean, I
weed
know
dick is a
mine,
thing.
Is it really?
I don't know.
But like, I know friends of mine that want to do nothing but have sex when they're high on weed. But
Coke dick is.
Oh, I know Coke dick is real, but it's like. I get goofy funny when I did smoke. I got goofy funny, and I was more into the whole chill and hang out and let's joke around vibe. That was completely the least sexiest thing fucking ever. You know what I'm talking about? Like when you're sitting there and it's like, I don't know if you've ever smoked with somebody you were dating, and it's like, I don't want to be your girlfriend right now. I just want to be your friend. So don't touch me.
I just pass the Funyuns, man.
Exactly, like you sit there and you fucking pig out and you let people see the video game rage and you're farting and you're burping and you're fucking eating pounds and pounds of food. This is not sexy.
Yeah, no, it's not. Not at all.
No fucking person, well, maybe some people, but nobody I know will see the glob of mayonnaise on the side of my lips while I'm screaming at some fucking noob on Call of Duty that I'm gonna fuck his mother with a cactus while I rip a fart and take a swig out of a Coke bottle and say, damn, I want her.
Oh, shit. Yeah, who in their right mind is thinking about that? Yeah, last time I smoked up, I watched a really bad post-apocalypse movie. That was...
Ooh, which one?
Revelation Road 3, The Black Rider.
Oh, that sounds bad.
Oh, it was terrible. It's got...
that sounds terrible.
Oh, it's fucking awful. I found out about it listening to god awful movies, and
Shout out to Eli.
yeah, well, Eli was bringing it up because it's it's the third part of this trilogy, and
Right.
he's just going off about the glory that is this movie, and I'm sitting there and I'm going, I've listened to you guys rip the first two apart. I feel like I know what's going on.
I need to watch
I'm gonna watch this. So yeah, I got together with Jim. He and I sat there watching this thing, stoned out of our tree, eating Pop-Tarts. Oh my god!
I will never look
so
at Pop
bad.
Tarts the same way ever again because my son is absolutely obsessed with them.
Oh,
So now I
delicious.
see them as a kid thing, and I can no longer see them as stoner food. It's
Stoner
horrible.
strudel.
It really is the stoner strudel, and I can't ever see them that way again. I actually watched a video of like 30 things you didn't know about Pop Tarts the other day because my son wanted to watch it.
I don't want to know.
Yeah. See, and this is why we need to teach sex education, because this is what fucking motherhood does to you.
Apparently.
This is why we need sex ed, and we need to learn about protection, because this is what fucking motherhood does to your brain.
It ruins the way you perceive Pop-Tarts.
And so many other things in life, man.
Yeah. So going back to Pope Frankendick's stance on sex ed, there's more to sex than just procreation, you ignorant virgin. If you had actually had sex, you would understand that it feels great. It's a fantastic cardio exercise.
No, it feels great if you're with someone who knows how to make it feel great for you. It doesn't always feel great.
Or you know how to make it feel great.
Right, let's not lie to people here.
Yeah, okay, you're right.
Let's just not. For a guy having sex is like going to your favorite restaurant, eating this. Shut up and let me finish.
Don't talk for me.
For a guy, it's like going to your favorite restaurant, ordering your favorite food, and it being satisfying every time. For a woman, sex is like eating at a different restaurant every night, ordering something you've never eaten before, and just hoping that it's decent.
I have to disagree on that. I've had a couple
Men are way more able to score us guaranteed than women are.
Okay, that's fair. I'll admit. I almost always get to orgasm, which is more than some of my prior partners can say.
That's man of you to stand up and admit that.
Whatever. It's in the past now.
That was very manly of you to. That was very brave of you to admit.
My name is Keith, and I have sexually dissatisfied partners in the past.
But like guys, it's just easier for guys to get off.
Premature ejaculation sucks. Okay, I'm sorry.
You know, women suffer from that shit too, right? So I mean, it's not actual.
No, women suffer from premature ejaculation. Guys don't suffer. Women do.
Yeah, that is true. Actually, we are the victims in that unfortunate scenario. But women, I've had a couple of instances where it was just way too heat of the moment, and it just got way too crazy, and everything just happened way too soon.
Yeah.
And I'm the type that you have to like don't touch it for a few minutes after, because it's just like, no, now it's too sensitive and it hurts, so it's just back off.
Oh, I hate that.
I'm that kind. I fucking hate it. But it's like, ow, now it hurts. It's too sensitive.
That felt great. Stop touching me! No.
This is great. I was, oh my god, get off me! You're killing me.
Okay, so
get off me! It feels like you're stabbing me.
There's one line here that's really standing out to me, and it's dripping with irony. So I'm gonna read the line. It is always irresponsible to invite adolescents to toy with their bodies and their desires, as if they possess the maturity, values, mutual commitment, and goals proper to marriage. Okay, I'm sorry. You're a fucking 70-year-old virgin. You do not get to tell people how to satisfy their sex lives.
No.
Go fuck yourself.
No. Just...
You are a 70-goddamn-year-old virgin. Not even Steve Carell could write that story.
No.
It is just that tragic.
I don't understand what is so wrong about making yourself feel good. I mean, granted, if you're locking yourself in your bedroom and like not working and not, if she's been carrying on with life and doing nothing but beating off all day, then yeah, it's a problem. But like, fuck, moderation, man.
Yeah, there is absolutely nothing wrong with me wanting to wear my fuzzy slippers, going and sitting in the bathtub with my rubber ducky, lighting a couple of candles, putting on sitting the Aunt Jemima bottle at the end of the bathtub, and just going right to town with my left hand.
I'm sorry, what is so wrong? And granted, we're not teens anymore. We're adults and, kind of have our own lives and everything. But what is wrong with the fact that if I have the day off from work and my kid's not home and I have the house to myself and I queue up some Walking Dead or some fucking Game of Thrones, and, there's Tom Paine or Kit Harington, and I don't go to town for a few minutes. What is so wrong in this? I'm not hurting anybody.
You're thinking about zombies while you're masturbating. I think that.
No, not zombies. No, they haven't. No, I haven't done a zombie motif. It's an act. He's a living.
Oh, okay.
Character on the show.
I totes believe that.
It's, well, you know what? Fuck, I'm actually kind of screwed because either way you look at it, there's zombies in both shows and both characters deal with them.
Good lord. So moving away from Game of Thrones, we're going to talk about what the Pope says about gay people. We're going to find out if...
We weren't done at telling the children not to touch themselves and figure out what makes them feel good.
No, I think I peaked when I told him to go fuck himself.
Damn.
I know. So... Every person, regardless of sexual orientation, ought to be respected in his or her dignity and treated with consideration.
Okay.
As for proposals to place unions between homosexual persons on the same level as marriage, there are absolutely no grounds for considering homosexual unions to be in any way similar or even remotely analogous to God's plan for marriage and family. So here we fucking have it. Who am I to judge? Pope is judging. Compliment. That's not even a backhanded compliment.
We'll respect you, but not enough for you to get married.
No, this I have had this disagreement with Ashley before. It actually caused a huge fight because I brought up how the Pope met up with the Patriarch of the Russian Orthodox, and all they could talk, or what they opened up talking about, was the sanctity of the family and how gays can't make a proper family. And I was the asshole in the situation because I pointed out that the Pope's current stance on homosexuality is nothing different from the old stance against black people, that they were the same but different. There is
or interracial relationships, interracial marriage.
Exact same thing. There is no difference. Oh, we see that they're there, and we're no longer allowed to kill them.
Yeah, we can't stone them to death.
We're still going to rob them of their humanity and dignity.
But let's fuck them being happy.
This is absolute garbage that they're going to sit there and say, everybody, regardless of sexual orientation, ought to be respected in his or her dignity and treated with consideration, except when they want to be seen as fucking humans, because how dare they?
Except when they want to show each other just how much they love each other, because, no, they're not allowed that form of humanity. They're not allowed to feel like humans, but we have to treat them like that.
The only time homosexuality is condoned in the Catholic Church is when it involves a priest and a 5-year-old boy. That seems to be about the only time that homosexuality is not demonized by the church.
Or a nun in an orphanage.
No? I never really thought about that happening.
Yes. People see, and people tend to think, they condone homosexuality until priests and little boys, but there are many nuns, because lesbianism is seen the same way as homosexual men.
Oh,
it's fine to be gay. It's fine to be a lesbian. No, this is how the Catholic Church actually sees it. There is nothing wrong with being gay or being a lesbian. What you're asked to do is to join the church or join the order so that you don't act upon these homosexual tendencies. It's not physically being gay, and this is what a lot of people miss. People say that, being gay is wrong. No, if you actually read fucking through everything, it says there is nothing wrong with being homosexual.
It's just
if you act. It's when you act on your homosexuality. So they prefer that you join the priesthood or you become a nun so that you serve your life to God instead of your perverse sexual desires.
Yeah, which, if you think about it at the end of the day, is really just the same as the fact that I want to stick my P in a V.
Right, and a lot of women and girls were violated by nuns and by priests as well, and they're kind of the, for turn the tables here, they're kind of the unspoken rape victims.
They really are.
Tragedy, yeah.
That's something I think that, Jen, I'm going to task you with looking up so we can talk about it later on, because I think that's something that is way under talked about. I mean, Don't get me wrong. Any sort of, priest abusing a child, or, religious leader abusing a child in any way is far too under talked. Who the fuck told me to speak? Who taught me to speak English? Am I drunk?
That is Canadian English, ladies and gentlemen. We are still trying to figure this one out. It's a language barrier.
It is. It is very, very under discussed. Is what I meant to say.
Under discussed. But yeah, you know, a lot of people tend to forget the women victims with the Catholic Church sex scandal as well.
Well, yeah. I want to do a shameless shout out of one of the first books that I read in my journey to fully realizing that I'm an atheist was William Lobdell's Losing My Religion. He was a reporter for the LA Times. He started off as a Christian writer talking about, you know, the positive sides of religion, of
Christianity and Catholicism.
Yeah, right. And he talked about how he covered this woman who was raped and left for dead by this man in a Denny's bathroom. And she actually, during the trial, she told him that it was God's grace that she forgave him. And she gave him a Bible, and she set up a trust for him, so when he got out of prison, he had something waiting for him.
See, that's why fucking religion makes your ass crazy.
And I can't remember how this story ends. I think he actually did end up turning his life around. Like he was batshit insane, and he got some help. And through this, it sounded like
medication
yeah. But you know, because instead of actually dealing with these people when we start to realize they might have issues that, you know, they need to have dealt with, we just kind of shun them to the, you know, homeless shelters.
Right.
But anyways, then he goes on to talk about, you know, he started going to survivors meetings because he was one of the first reporters to break on the Catholic sex scandal. He went to survivors meetings, and he doesn't go into as graphic detail as, say, the report that came out of Ireland, like that 2,000-page report, but he talks about it enough and you get the indication that holy shit. He tells you what happens, and he discusses this one girl who her parents would drop her off to meet with this priest who would take her to a hotel room where he and several other priests would take turns with her until she got pregnant, and then they sent her over to Asia, where she actually almost died giving birth. Like, what the fuck? So.
Oh my god! Like
I know. Oh. That's it's fucking heartbreaking. And you're right. We hear a lot about the boys, but we don't at the same time hear a lot about the girls. And I think that's part of the problem with when we talk about things like the rape culture, is because when you read a lot of women's stories, you know, years after, they look back, they go, I didn't think that was rape.
Yeah.
And then they find out that, no, they actually didn't give consent. Therefore, it is rape.
It is rape, yeah. If you do not say okay, or if you cannot consent to.
Exactly. And that's something that I think as we move forward as this movement moves forward, that's something that we're going to end up coming to terms with as well, is now we've, you know, addressed the priestly raping of young boys. Now what about, you know, all the sex abuse against the young girls?
Right. Because they really are the forgotten victims in this entire, and it's sad. It's fucking sad. It makes me fucking sad to even think about it.
Yeah. But, you know, none of that pales to the evil that is a gay person who wants to, you know, fucking be themselves and demand to be seen as human. You know,
and masturbate.
Oh,
not even act on the homosexual tendencies, but just pleasure themselves.
Yeah. Huh. Imagine if more priests could masturbate, you know, without the
guilt. You really mean to tell me that they don't?
Come on. Yeah, really. You're right.
Come on, man.
So
I've actually tried not beating off for a while. It
doesn't happen.
No, it just doesn't.
If I don't get my 4 a day,
I don't know.
Crazy.
Like, if I'm the only chick that does this, I'm sure other women do it too. But like, women just like, we will sit there and just like put our hands on our boobs just because they're there.
One of my exes would do that.
I do it like all the time. Like, I'll just be sitting there and like, hand on the boob.
And it's not a sexual thing.
No, it's not a sexual thing. Or it's like, I mean, granted, I won't do it if there's other people like in the house or in the room. I won't even beat off. Like, I won't beat off unless everyone's asleep. Like, I'm really fucking weird about it. Yeah, like, I have to have, like, everyone has to be asleep, and I have this weird thing with it. But, like, I'll sit there, and you'll find your hand down your pants. Yeah, you know, set the light, you know, set the mood, light a few candles, put on the right zombie movie, you know, we're good to go. But, like, you sit there and just have, like, I'm sure this happens to guys, too, where you just kind of have your hand down your pants, and you're just kind of exploring things there, and kind of, it leads to another thing.
Oh, see, there have been times where I've been sitting there, and next thing I know, I look down, and I've got my junk firmly in my hand. Why do we call it junk? I've got my business firmly in my hands.
Well, it does
it's
kind of.
not
It does.
sexual. I'm
Men
not
kind
fine
of
with
do look like the leftover parts of what was there, just because.
it.
Men really do, because like,
not
and I'm
wrong.
sorry, a penis is not a pretty thing to look at, especially like soft and not aroused. It's really not. Think of a man standing in front of you, not in a sitting
Kinda looks
position,
like a
but standing.
turtle.
It's
In a
bizarre
turtleneck.
looking, and it's like, oh, great face, great body, you know, great abs. What the fuck is that? Okay, great legs.
What? Who
Yeah,
did
it's like let's just put the blur box, the pixel box, or the black box over that, because everything else looks great, and then it's like, this was like the leftover screws and like, you know, fucking, this is, you know.
These are the last 3 pieces of the Lego box that you had no
Yeah.
idea what to do with, so you just slapped
So
them
you
on
just
anyway.
kind of threw it on something. Or it was like,
Great.
you know, when you would make a craft in school and there were leftover crafts, so you just kind of threw it all in
Ah.
one place. That's exactly what it's like. Oh, what a pretty craft stuff. What's up in the corner of the leftover shit that you threw up there? This is what penises look like. Soft, non-erect penises are not attractive. They're just...
Sorry, buddy.
And that's why
For
I
those
think
playing
it's
the
called
Not Another
junk.
Atheist podcast at home game, Keith just said he's sorry to his penis.
But I think that's why they call it junk, because it literally looks like you took the leftover junk and just kind of
It's true.
fangled it together, and yeah.
It's true. So before we
There
move
you
on
go.
to the 5th and final point of this document and then our last little discussion bit, there's just one last thing that I really want to fucking hammer home. I have gay friends, I have gay clients. Their marriages are no less fulfilling to their emotional and
Or
spiritual and physical
dysfunctional.
needs, or dysfunctional needs, than my heterosexual relationship is. So how can they sit there and tell me that because they're 2 dudes who happen to have engaged in sex long enough to know that they want to spend their life together, that their love is any less valid than mine? How
And
fucking
I
dare
have
you?
a question to our gay, heterosexual, gay, homosexual, whatever you want to label yourself,
LGBT.
LGBT listeners out there. I have noticed that gay relationships, whether it be 2 women, 2 men, whatever, seem to be way more functional than heterosexual relationships are.
Sometimes.
And a lot of the time, and they seem way more balanced and way more equal. And from what I've seen, homosexual people tend to wait a little later to get into serious relationships. They kind of play the field a little bit more in life. And I wondered if it was because they don't have the same societal pressures that heterosexual couples do, or heterosexual people do, that you have to get married and have kids and
Well, I
raise the family and do this and do that and do this and do that. And
I want to speculate on that for a second.
That's why they have more stable relationships and tend to get into more serious relationships when they're a little bit older.
So
and
I'm gonna speculate on that simply for the fact that if you look at the way we were raised as kids, we did not see a lot of homosexuality in our pop culture. I mean, in Disney,
I did.
Well, fuck you.
I grew up in New York City, so this is a whole different world. Like,
Grew up in New York.
well, the Village Voice was the, homosexual paper of the city, and it was literally on every corner every Tuesday morning. So
the average person grew
The
up
average
not
person,
really
right.
seeing the average person growing up on Disney. I mean, we weren't told that by our early 20s we had to have our one and only. We had to be done with school. We had to have our job. Blah blah blah. And when
but
you grow
Disney
up,
did kind of feed into that
Well, hang
find
on.
your true love, get married bullshit.
Well, hang on. And one thing that why we celebrate seeing more gay characters in pop culture these days is the fact that previously, like, gay kids growing up never knew any better. Like, kids who were gay when they were growing up didn't have any actual role models, so they had to borrow bits and pieces from other various role models. So they didn't get the whole, you have to live this princess lifestyle, you have to be this pure individual, you have to get married by such and such a time, unless their parents were this really weird, accepting yet not accepting.
Like
this.
we
Yeah,
don't
I
care
get it.
if
You're gay,
just
but you
as long-
just have to be normal.
Yeah, exactly. It's
So.
Unless
That's
they
my
have
thoughts on
that.
that.
We don't care who you love. You just better get married and give me fucking grandkids.
Yeah, I don't care if you have to adopt them.
Which I swear to God, I think that I might turn into that.
Yeah, really. All right, so we're gonna touch on the last one here because this one is fucking hysterical. I saved my favorite one for last. Is contraception.
Dun, da, da, da.
Yeah, thank you. That actually flowed really well. I can't wait to hear that in editing. So what the Pope has to say on contraception. The use of methods based on the laws of nature and the incidence of fertility are to be promoted, since these methods respect the bodies of the spouses, encourage tenderness between them, and favor the education of an authentic freedom. What the fuck does that mean?
I'm that confuses me.
I'm going to sum this up in 2 words. Catholic roulette.
Okay, yeah.
Pull out and pray.
But this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense to me because he's saying to not use contraception, right?
Correct.
Okay, and because then they said promotes this loving, equal. But what if one person in the marriage doesn't want any more children? So how is that a loving and equal decision? What if a woman's tired of having kids, or what if this guy Kitty? What if this guy what if the husband realizes that they're barely making ends meet now, and he's not going to be up for a promotion, and neither one of them are going to fucking bring home a bigger paycheck. So what if he's like, I don't want to have any more kids? But
that's what the church discourages, is such critical thinking and realization that
But I'm just saying, how is that an equal? What was the terminology used?
Hang on. Respect the boundaries of spouses, encouraging tendency, and favor the education of an authentic freedom.
Encourages intimacy. If I don't want to have children and somebody's telling me not to use contraception, that's not encouraging intimacy. That's encouraging a chastity belt. And what freedom? I thought freedom was the ability to make a choice.
No, stupid.
Now I want to know something. Is the pull-out method considered using contraception?
In the Bible, somebody dies when he pulls out and spills some of his semen on the floor. So
okay, guess I forgot reading that one. What about natural family planning?
Yeah, that's basically what they're talking about, is the use of the rhythm method.
Because we know that's so fucking. Because a woman's body stays on the same fucking cycle from the time she starts her period till the time she fucking ends it. Because we all know that's how biology works, children.
It's not? Oh fuck! I've been lied to. I was lied to.
Ashley's like, yeah, okay. How many times has that happened this week?
For those sitting at home, she's actually not even here.
Oh, she's not.
No, she's in Vancouver right now.
Oh, awesome! I hope she's having a great time.
Mm-hmm.
She deserves to get the fuck away from you every once in a while. Yeah.
She really does. The poor girl. She really does her lion's share of dealing with me, and I think she just deserves the break.
But like, how is it freedom without a choice?
And that's the great irony of this whole thing, is that it's authentic freedom. So it's basically like
no, I know what they mean. Remember the whole free will, God gave you free will thing, but you're not supposed to use it?
But if you don't use it right, you get punished? Yeah.
Right. That's the authentic freedom, is the free will that God gave you but told you not to use.
Man, that's some bullshit up in there. Yeah, that's one of my greatest
freedom is. Yep.
That's one of my greatest confusions when it comes to religion. You have free will. Okay, cool. But if you don't use it right, you're going to hell. Huh?
What?
What? That's not free will.
Look.
That's coercion.
Look, but don't touch but don't taste but don't swallow.
Yeah, so contraception is bad because it apparently it just hinders your fertility, and that's bad. Even though
one thing I will give this Pope though is that he's very much for taking care of the poor. So he's not one of these people that are like, contraception's bad, abortion's bad, but no, don't have any more kids because you need to go on welfare.
I have to ask though, what has he done to take care of the poor? I know he's done photo ops where he's kissed their feet, washed their feet.
I have no idea what he's physically done. I know.
Yeah,
well, actually, I know he took in 2 refugee families into the Vatican recently.
Well, yeah, but they had to be Catholic, didn't they?
No.
Really?
I don't think they were Catholic. I think he just took in 2 refugee families with children.
Anybody listening at home, let us know. We're probably gonna not look it up.
If you would like to, I'm fucking not looking it up. But if you'd like to clarify, that would be great.
Would make
but at least he's not like, no contraception, no abortion, fuck you, no welfare checks.
Yeah, only 2 of those 3.
At least this guy genuinely doesn't. This guy genuinely seems to be pro-life and not just pro-birth.
Yeah, pro-fetus. That's.
I will give him that. He definitely seems to be overall rounded pro-life, like the actual definition of what pro-life is. I will give him that much.
If that's his true stance, then yeah, absolutely full props for that, because every Republican is basically just, no, you have to give birth to that. Okay, well, are you going to provide them health care? No.
Nope.
What? Are you going to give them a decent living wage? No. They
Nope.
have to pull up their own bootstraps. Well,
And
can't we just take them out?
Now we're going to cut welfare funding.
Yeah. Enough of that bullshit. Okay.
And now for something completely different.
So now we're going to move on to, I think I'm going to try to get like some of that old-timey music for what we're doing now. Just because that would be awesome. Okay, so now we're going to read a pamphlet that came to me from somebody that I see at work. He's an interesting chap. We've had some long, interesting discussions, and there have been times where I have been absolutely flabbergasted at what he said, and yes, I use the word flabbergasted.
I love that
because
word. And shenanigans. I love the word
shenanigans is fantastic.
Shenanigans and flabbergasted.
Amazing words.
Love them.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
He was a doctor, a dentist to be specific, I believe, and he is instead, he's a very devout Christian now, and he routinely talks about it. It can kind of get to the point of being a little preachy, a little annoying, but at the same time, he's not sitting there trying to say, you should come with me or recruit us, which is nice, but he does give out some interesting literature now and then.
Okay.
This little bit of literature happens to come from Creation Moments. Is that what it's called? Creation Moments? I don't care. I can't read the top, and I don't care. So, this week's Creation Moment. A fly with ants on its wings. So I'm gonna read through this, and I will do my best to get through it without making as many comments as possible, so we can break it down a little bit. So, for the invisible... they start off with a Bible verse, Romans 1:20a. What? When do they start incorporating letters into Bible verses?
There's letters?
Fuck.
Did not know.
Yeah, so apparently this verse says, for the invisible things of him from the creation... Is it really read like that? This is King James Version. Fuck. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made. What does that even mean?
That's the whole point, is to confuse you.
No wonder people don't read the fucking Bible. Christ alive. Okay. Before I go off and burst a fucking blood vessel thinking about that one. Where'd my cat go? Oh, there she is.
Pet the kitty. Stroke the furry. Have you ever seen Get Him to the Greek?
Yes.
Stroke the furry wall, dude.
I was so disappointed by that movie because there was a scene that they played in the trailer where Russell Brand was driving around in like one of those little Power Wheel carts. He's got a top hat on. He's like, I think he's naked. He's got his leg hanging out the side, and he's driving around. He goes, "I'm a motorist," and that wasn't in the movie. That wasn't in the movie.
Stroke the furry wall right now, Keith.
Yeah.
Stroke the furry
I'm stroking the furry wall. Okay, so the little bit goes. It's only like a small 800-word essay, so let's make this quick and painless. When most people look at a photo of the Gonorrhea tridens fruit fly,
it's a fruit fly.
It's a fruit fly. They think it must have been created by a talented Photoshop artist. The images were actually put there by a master designer. I wonder where they're going to go with this one. Dr. Bridget Howarth, the fly specialist at the Zayed University in the UAE, who first discovered G. tridens, said that the image on the wing is absolutely perfect. Each wing carries a precisely detailed image of an ant-like insect, complete with 6 legs, 2 antennae, a head, thorax, and tapered abdomen. When threatened, the fly flashes its wings to give the appearance of ants walking back and forth. This confuses the predator, letting the fly escape. It doesn't look like they're walking back and forth. They're just there.
That is cool as fuck, though. That is some fucking boss-ass shit right there.
Yeah. Oh, what's hilarious what's hilarious is I just Googled G tridents. One of the first blogs that came up is whyevolutionisttrue.wordpress.com. And it's all about this G trident, the fly with the ant mimic wings. Oh,
isn't that some fucking awesome shit though?
Yeah, like fuck yeah, nature.
That's fucking awesome shit. That is badass shit.
Yeah. So, as expected, the story and pictures of G tridents were soon flying all over the internet. Here's where this article gets fun. Evolutionists rejoiced, claiming that the fruit fly was a beautiful example of natural selection, which is true. It's fantastic, especially since apparently this is a true. But we have to point out that there is no evidence whatsoever to support that claim. What? As usual, evolutionists simply assume that evolution is true. What they fail to do is show how those images of ants got on the fly wings. Are you fucking kidding me?
Don't mind the cat howling. This happens every night right around this time.
Creationists don't need to provide a step-by-step explanation of how these extraordinary wings developed. The fact is, the design is in their genes. God designed them that way. Jesus fucking ignorance Christ!
Because God got bored one day and got into MS Paint.
He's using clip art.
Clip art was the shit, dude.
Fuck yeah.
He got bored playing Oregon Trail and decided to use clip art.
He got tired of dying of dysentery every 10 minutes.
Dysentery.
No, what pissed me off reading this was, as usual, evolutionists simply assume that evolution is true. No, we don't assume it's true. We critically look at the evidence and realize,
see if it is.
This is the best explanation we got that doesn't rely on us hitting step one and going, I don't want to go any further. That gets complicated. I'm just going to say God.
I'm just going to say God and chalk it up to that. This way I don't have to think.
Like, this is...
Thinking is hard.
This is strictly the argument from ignorance. I don't understand it. Therefore, it just...
It's God.
Therefore, it has to be my own assumption. And that's also producing, I believe the other logical fallacy is called a false dichotomy, saying it's either yours or mine, and since I don't want to bother to check out yours, it's mine.
It's mine.
And holy fuck, I think I lost a couple of IQ points.
This makes your fucking brain hurt. No, I understand. Cause it's like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, like they did a beautiful, explanation of the fly, and that's great.
Of what it was, and it was great.
And
then this happens.
And then sitting there saying, well, the design was by God. Well, no, it wasn't. This design is merely a non-randomly selected
here's
set
a question.
Of traits.
If it was designed by God, then why didn't God just make no natural predators of this thing?
Whoa, no, don't you dare. Don't you dare say that, because that totally throws the wrench in their plans. Don't you dare say things like that, you heathen.
Wouldn't that just make more fucking sense than, putting pretty clip art pictures on the backs of wings?
Oh, totes my goats it would, but, how dare you actually try to use logic?
I mean, from everything I hear about, God's design and everything else, I'm like, how do so many people follow a D average student?
You seriously think this is a D average? That's being nice.
Well, I mean, he's got creativity and some of the shit works, so we'll give him about a D. An A+ student would say, hey, instead of having to place things that look like predators on their backs or things that look like other prey on their backs, how about I just not give them any natural predators?
Yeah, see, that would be the thing that makes sense.
To defend themselves with.
If you take a look at the animal kingdom, it is the ultimate in what the fuck were you thinking? Because let's face it, we have predators constantly getting better at killing prey, and we have prey getting better at not being
And then
killed.
we have things like fleas and scabies and bed bugs.
Mosquitoes!
Nobody fucking understands why there's no... Unless I could be totally wrong in this, but things like fleas and scabies and bed bugs...
What the fuck is a scabie anyways?
A scabie is a tiny mite that burrows in your skin and lays eggs. And then they hatch and they can jump out. And it creates a lot of cuts and it's a very itchy thing. It's like a skin parasite.
That's fucking wrong.
It's fucked up. But why do things like this even exist? What natural function does a flea have? Like, how does a flea make the earth better?
It doesn't. I
mean, I understand in a time before pesticides and everything else, it was part of the whole natural selection thing, fleas, rats, the plague, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, we're past that now, so why haven't they evolved out? Because there's really no fucking reason.
No, the simple fact that they try to get to square one and realize that, get the second half of the alphabet is really fucking hard. The fact that they get to that point and just go, no, that's not for me, so therefore I'm right. It's just sheer fucking ignorance, and ignorance is bliss to you. To everybody else, it's fucking annoying as shit.
It's horrible. To everyone else, I understand that people are happy being stupid because it makes them not think as hard. It makes them not think as hard, and you're not forced to deal with the actual realities of the world. But it's not fair that other people that have to deal with you.
Yeah, it's part of that whole folksy ignorant charm. I'm trying to come up with a good name, so if anybody can give me a good way to explain it.
We all remember the John McCain, Sarah Palin. What happens when Republicans try to grab onto women who really don't have a lot of experience as their vice presidents, just because of the fact that they're women. You think we learned this lesson right now, right?
Sorry, you brought up Sarah Palin and I had a mini stroke.
I know, but I'm just hear me out. Now, we all thought that they learned this lesson that just by grabbing a woman to pander the woman votes when she really shouldn't be on a stage like a vice presidency is not a good idea and would cost you an election. So what does Ted Cruz do? Announces that Carly Fiorina is his running mate.
I heard that!
Carly Fiorina, who got destroyed at debates,
because she has nothing to contribute.
She's a businessman, and a bad one at that. And she's a businessman, and a bad one at that, because almost everything she fucking touches goes bankrupt. But they're trying to pander to women voters. This is like Christianity to me.
And pandering writ large.
The proof is right there in front of you that this.
It's in the pudding.
Statistically, we've got fucking scientific studies. This shit don't work.
Yeah, so I'm gonna.
But here you are pandering.
I'm gonna try to find more of these creation moments things because when I'm stoned as fuck, these are hilarious because it's like, oh my god, somebody.
No, it's not hilarious when you text me with them at 2:00 in the fucking morning, and now I'm up and I'm curious and I have to read it.
I didn't send it to you at 2 in the morning. Shut up.
Oh, I'm fucking pulling it up right now. What was the last? No, the last one was because we were actually you send me random ass shit at 2 in the morning, and you fucking know it.
Because usually 2 a.m. I'm stoned or half asleep.
And then it's like, oh, and then like if it wakes me up and I'm like, oh, this might look interesting, and now I'm just annoyed. Now I'm just laying in bed annoyed that I'm woken up and have to read this kind of fucking dribble. I have to get woken up by it.
Hey, Jen. You're welcome.
I know. You love me.
It's all love. So I think that about wraps it up for episode, what is this, fucking 26?
I don't fucking know anymore.
Wait, hang on. I'm fairly certain it's like 27. Or 26. Oh god, why can't I remember? I feel like I should actually know this about my own.
You should,
podcast.
because this is your end of work.
God, the things that should end up on the cutting room floor that don't. Sweet.
I think this what makes us more human, though. We're not so.
Oh, this is episode 26. Oh, yay!
Is it 26? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we're gonna bring it to a close now. We're gonna release you. You don't have to keep listening to us anymore.
Do you know what is on right now, and I'm so psyched for it?
What is on?
Varsity Blues. Remember that movie? Oh, God. So hyped.
Yeah. Jen's going to go do that. I'm going to go clean my kitchen because my girlfriend's actually away for a couple of days. And
he's forced to survive on his own.
I have to do my own dishes, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen and everyone else, that's the sob story that is my life right now.
He has to actually survive on his own tonight. Wah, wah.
So with that, thank you once again for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Jen, I'll see you on the other side.
The other side of my ass, which is a text message.
See you on the other side. Aww.
Aww. See what you did?
And I'm done. The Not Another Atheist podcast experience is run by Jen and Keith. If you wish to contact the hosts, please write to nehehp@gmail.com. They can be found at facebook.com/NotAnotherAtheistPodcast or search Not Another Atheist Podcast on iTunes and Stitcher to subscribe and leave reviews.
Oh, come on, we all know Jesus pulled his pud.
See that little flap of skin on the end of your ding-dong there? Yeah, you can cut it off.
Check my eyes, make sure you don't have to tell me twice.
Nuke the lizards!
Shut up and let me finish. I'm picking up my panties and I'm going home, okay?